You're listening to Life Repair Recovery Talk Radio with Rick Thompson, only on LA Talk Radio.
Hello, this is Megan Hughes. Welcome to Life Repair Recovery Talk Radio with your host, Rick Thompson. This show is about sobriety and recovery. We focus in 3 different segments. 1, point of view of the relatives who are dealing with a member of their family that is suffering from alcoholism so they can understand them better. 2, the point of view of the insurance companies and health providers and how they relate in this industry. And 3, the feelings and emotions that alcoholics and addicts go through. And now, your host, Rick Thompson.
Thank you, Megan. Hello, everyone. I'm Rick Thompson. Welcome to the show. It's good to see you, Megan. How you been? Good. Tonight we have a special guest in the studio, Vince Ciacci, who's the author of Mob Shot and is the host of his own show, which you can listen to at www.mobshotpodcast.com. Vince, how are you?
I'm fine, Rick, and thank you for inviting me on your show.
My pleasure. I got a couple questions for you, just out of the chute before you get into your story. How did you come to the point of writing this book?
Well, you see, I was at this this preview in Hollywood of my friend, the one that wrote the book, Bob Puglisi, who wrote the book Almost a Wise Guy. He was doing his own little viewing, and after we went for dinner, and I'm looking at the viewing that he was doing, I'm saying to myself that this is like, he should have an idea of the stuff that I did when I was his age, and I started to talk to him about it, and he immediately said to me, I'd like to write a book about your story. And I thought he was kidding, and no, he wasn't. He took it very seriously, and he started doing the script, and it took about a year. It was back and forth writing, and he was adamant about putting this script together. After we did the script, there were people interested, but it didn't go anywhere. And then one day he called me and he said, you know what, Vince, why don't we go into partnership and we'll put the book together and see how it comes out. Well, once he did the book, then everything started to happen. And it's now at the point now where I am doing podcasting, and we're doing a screenplay, and my partner in all this is Gary Bryan, the disc jockey at K-Ert 101, and he's not only my partner, but he's a dear friend, and we're really putting this thing together.
That's great. Did you have any reservations going into this?
Well, you see, most of the people that I did all this with are dead today. So I'm not worried about them coming after me, but there's a lot of this stuff that it brings back old memories that some of them are haunting, and I really don't, care to bring them up, but they want me. It's like Gary said to me, he said, look, you put this fucking thing together the way you did it when you did it, and don't hold back on anything. So I'm putting it together, and actually it's good, because what's going to happen after we talk in the show, it's going to be that I got into recovery. I've been sober now 27 years, and all those people that I hurt, which were bad people, now I've redeemed myself by trying to help other people in sobriety, and I've been able to sponsor a whole bunch of people, and I've been able to talk to young people that want to be gangsters and hoodlums, and hopefully it's turned their life around. So it's about setting the record straight right now.
Okay.
That's great.
Did you seek legal counsel prior to taking the project?
No, I didn't. Well, once we did the script, everybody was so interested in it, and it didn't go anywhere. So I did acquire an attorney, an entertainment lawyer, mm-hmm. And what happened was we never got to use him because there was no book at the time. It was just a script, and
right.
Everybody was so interested. There were people that wanted, let me have the script and I'm going to make it work. And I mean, I can't even tell you how many people. And there were some big talent agencies that looked at it, CNN, Paladine, Creative Artists, and they were interested in
right.
it. Oh, yeah, this is great. And yet it never went anywhere. So actually, this thing was on the shelf for 5 years. Okay. Just a couple of years ago, Bob Puglisi, thank God, he said, let's write the book, because now it's starting to go somewhere.
Good. Well, with that, I'd love to hear your story.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'll start out with to let you know I'm a recovering alcoholic, and when I was young, I had all the tendencies about being an alcoholic. I was a nervous wreck. I felt less than. I had some really wild habits. I used to twist my hair and grind my teeth, and I was a nervous wreck, and plus I was very skinny. I came from a very controlling family, and lo and behold, my mother, in her later years, turned out to be a chronic alcoholic, and my father became a degenerate gambler. And this I didn't know when I was little, but it was a very controlling home, and I was in this neighborhood. I was actually born in Little Italy in New York City, in the Greenwich Village section, and it was a neighborhood that was run by the Genovese crime family. And it's funny because my mother and father, they told my grandmother, we got to get out of this neighborhood. We don't want to raise our son in this kind of neighborhood. And then what did I do? I found myself back in that fucking neighborhood anyway, right? So we moved up to 51st Street around Beekman Place, and I was in the streets with my friends, and I was always picked on. The big guys in the neighborhood picked on us and tortured us. I would go to school. The big guys would pick on me in school. I'd come home, and I'd get upstairs, and I got to hear all the bullshit that my mother and father were running down to me. So it was basically, going to school was just, how am I going to get out of school without getting beat up? How am I going to get back in the neighborhood to get up to my house without getting beat up? And then having to survive the night with my mother and father telling me what the fuck to do.
Wow.
So I had no time to concentrate on school. I'll tell you how this all turned around. We were getting picked on. I was getting so tired of it, and I was about 12 years old, and we're in the park one day with my friends, and this guy Louis comes down in the neighborhood. He was 3 years older than me, and starts pushing me around and bullying me and calling me names, and I don't know what happened. I snapped, and I tore into him, and I was throwing punches like they were machine gun bullets, and I knocked him down, and I started just getting on top of him, and I beat the living shit out of him, and if they hadn't pulled me off him, I would have killed him.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, my friends and the big guys that he was hanging out with, they were looking at me like, what the fuck happened? And that's when the problem started, because I saw that fight showed people respecting me.
Right.
And nobody started to push me around after that. In fact, the big guys that used to torture me, they wanted me to hang out with them. And then I started my little road to juvenile delinquency, and the next thing you know, we were doing pickpocketing, and we were robbing, and it was like we had a little band of thieves, Right. It reminded me of the West Side Kids, we were always dirty, we were climbing in the alleys, robbing, stealing, right. But what was happening I was growing into a hoodlum. From being a juvenile delinquent to being a hoodlum. Well, what happened is I wound up going to Ciacci. Well, I was into reform school, and then there I was getting arrested, and then I did a crime where I got sent away for 3 years, and that's when I became. I had a reputation up there of being crazy. I was always in the hole. I was in solitary, and it was the guards against us, and it was a black and white thing up there. The blacks were crazy, the whites were crazy, and it was like the South. We were just killing each other and fighting each other. Yeah. But what I did up there, by getting a reputation, I wound up in the kitchen. They tried to get me in the kitchen, and I turned it around. I wound up with the best job in the kitchen, by the way, and I realized that there was nothing I couldn't do after that. I realized that I could put my mind to something and I could do it. But the bottom line was, it sounded good in the kitchen. They're telling me how good I changed. And when I hit the yard after that, my friends told me, when you get out of this joint, I want you to go see my father. One guy says, go see my uncle, my cousin. Because I had a rep up there being crazy, and I didn't take shit from nobody. So right. When I got out in the street, I went to meet these people, and that's how I got introduced into the Mafia, La Cosa Nostra. I started doing things for these people, and doing armed robberies, and the money we made.
Can you specify? I mean, to a point on like individual scenarios. Let's put that light word on it or incidents.
Okay. Well, what we were doing is we were sticking up drug dealers. We were ripping them off, and we were taking off pimps. I hate pimps. To me, a pimp is a piece of shit. They beat the girls up. They rape
that's
them.
True.
They torture them. They
Horrible
put
people.
needles in their arms so they addict them to drugs. So we used to go up to them and we used to say, hey, we're the fucking Italians. Give us all your fucking money and make sure that you have fucking money when we see you again. And you could bring all your friends from Harlem and Brooklyn. We don't give a fuck. We'll take care of them too. And we made a lot of money with that. But the thing was that we were getting set up by the wise guys to do armed robberies, and they would set up like jewelry stores and
Right.
known things. The thing is with the mob is, though, at the time it was great to know I was with them. I was what they call an associate. I wasn't a made guy. I didn't get made in. I was an associate.
Right.
Thank God, because
An associate.
yeah, thank God I couldn't walk away from it if I got my
Correct.
button. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
So what happened was that.
Would you explain to the audience what a button is?
A button is like
Yeah.
when I make you. I'm in. Let's say I'm in a family. I'm one under 5 families, and I'm watching you. I'm sponsoring you, meaning I'm watching you throughout a year or two. I'm giving you things to do. Maybe I'm setting you up to take a pinch to see if you're a rat.
Right.
And if you pass all these tests, I put your name in the books, meaning you're going to be made someday. And they closed the books for a long time in the 70s, but then they opened up again. And what happens is they bring you into a place and they say some words. They prick your finger. They let the blood go on the saint. You burn the saint in your hand, and you say, "There's this saint burns, you burn. If you betray our family, you'll go to hell. If your mother calls you, she's dying, and we call you, you come to us, and you are now one of us. You are Cosa Nostra. You're a made guy."
Right.
And once you're in, you're out. And the bottom line is, once you get made, you got to hustle your ass off to make money, because that money's got to shoot up to the top. And you're a slave, actually, to organized crime. And it looks good because you wear the silk suits. I got all the girls I wanted. I mean, I was a pretty boy. That was good enough. But I was crazy, which was even more so, and I had a lot of money. So I had all the women I wanted. It was just like everything was beautiful. But at the bottom of the barrel is I became addicted to. I started using heroin, and I started using pills, and that glamorous life of the nightclubs and all the good stuff just started to go down the tubes. Don't get me wrong, I was never a skelly, like a guy that you see on the streets. Give me some money, I need to fix myself. I always had money, but my style was starting to go down a little bit.
So did that have an effect with your relationship with the families that you were?
I got news for you. Because see what another thing why I didn't get made is because when you put alcohol and drugs in me, I could be in a bar and be talking to you, and the next thing you know, I'm punching your face out. Something would click in my mind. Maybe it was a childhood memory,
right? And
I would just go at you and attack you, and not my own crew, but they didn't like that because I was drawing heat. I was drawing heat on them, and I had actually got tied up one time by my own people, and they were going to put a few in the back of my head and throw me in the East River. A lot of my friends wound up like that because they were violent, and I got
unpredictable.
See, I got a pass on that, and a lot of gut shots have happened. When I was in New York, I decided I was going to come out here with my second wife. I could go on. If you listen to my podcast, you'll get all the story from A to Z. But I only have an hour here to talk about this. But I came to L.A., and when I came to L.A., I got involved with the people out here too, lo and behold. And I'm going to tell you a quick story.
Sure.
I was with this woman. She was with the boys out here, the Mexican guys, and I was running coke with her. And she was running heroin with me. We were partners, and she's gorgeous.
Perfect.
And I never touched her. Like, we were just partners. And there was one night that I was at her place. I had just shot some heroin, and I drank about a half a bottle of Jack Daniel to keep my high up.
Nice.
So she comes out of the bathroom, with a robe around her head. It was like in the movies, and she dropped her robe, and I mean, whoa. I was so fucking high. And she comes up to me, and she wants to get busy, and I went to like go towards her, and I nodded out and fell off the bed.
Oh, sexy.
And
wow, that's hot.
And she says, and she looked at me and she said, "Get the fuck away from me!" And I was so high I couldn't care. But now listen to this. Now here I am. I get dressed up again. I got an '83 Pontiac. I got a rocker panel in like the French Connection. I had guns and heroin and coke in there, and I'm dressed up with a 3/4 leather jacket. I have my Italian guinea hat with the top burned up, sunglasses.
Right.
I look like something out of Central Casting. Now listen to this. This is God's shot, and this has actually started me to getting into recovery. I'm driving down the freeway, and I guess I'm nodding out, and all of a sudden I hear this crazy fucking noise, and it's like flames coming out of the side of the car. And what happened is I hit the divider against the side of the car, and I was scraping all the way down. So I get out, instead of saying, "Boy, you're really fucking up your life," I said, "My car, my beautiful car." But see, the rocker panel wasn't affected because it was just scraping, see? All of a sudden I see this cop car behind me, and I'm thinking, I'm going to go for the gun. I can't. There's no time. I'll never get it. He'll blow me away. I says, I'm fucked. So he gets out of the car. Now listen to this. I smell of booze. And it's such a detectable smell. I could come within 10 feet of you and smell booze on your breath.
Of course.
Yeah. And my eyes were pinned. And he comes out, and listen to me, on my daughter's life. I got a beautiful daughter, by the way.
I've met her.
And he doesn't arrest me. A Cub Scout should have arrested me that night. I mean, I had all the markings. I looked suspicious, and if he would have had that car opened up and they found, he would have made detective. Guess what he did? Now, listen to this. He changed the tire on my fucking car.
Oh, he's probably scared of you.
I don't think so. And I get back in the car, and instead of saying, thank you, God, because I didn't know that much about God in those days, which I do now, I said, that fucking chump, and I took off. Now listen to this. I go down Lincoln Boulevard. I live on Lincoln and Montana, 2nd and 3rd by the beach. I make a left at Lincoln, and I hear an explosion. I had actually gone through the light on 7th Street. There was a place there called the Cock and Crow. I used to buy my booze there. Mm-hmm. I went right through a red light, maybe doing 40 miles an hour. I hit a parked Cadillac that hit a Volkswagen. That's how hard I hit him. The car was like a fucking accordion. My nose was like 2 pieces. They had to sew my nose back. The rocker panel had not been affected because it was just the front of the car.
Right.
Guess what? The cops come again. Now, blood all over the place. The car's a mess. They don't arrest me. They don't arrest me. They called my wife down. She came down, and she looked at me like that incomprehensible demoralization. And she looked at me as if to say, she says, you. And the cops say, well, we'll tow your car. And I said, no, I got a friend that'll do it. And, and that night, she said to me, what are you going to do? You're going to die? And I said, honey, I said, don't worry about it. I said, I'm going to get a new car. I pulled out a wad of cash, and I didn't get it. Well, a week later, one of my customers actually told me, he says, I think you're an alcoholic, and you should do something about it. And I went to the high game program down on 4th Street, and
what exactly was that? Was that a treatment center, or
the high game program is where if you get arrested for a DUI, it's mandatory that you do 3 months of schooling there. Mm-hmm. And they show you films, they talk to you and everything. So I went without being sent there, because this guy told me, he said, look, he says, you got nothing to lose. He says, go down there and talk to this guy Andy, and find out what the story is, what you're like, because it sounds like you're really making a mess out of your life, you know. And so I said, my ex-wife was going to leave me. I said, I always had a con. I always see, if you tell me something, I want to know, how can I make money off you? How can I take your girlfriend? Or how can I get something out of this? So I'm thinking, I'll go down there. My wife, she'll be happy. I get her off my fucking back. She won't leave me. But I'll still get high. but I won't drink and drive anymore. That was my logic.
That'll fix it.
So I went down there, and I found out I was an alcoholic, and I didn't get into recovery right away. It took me another 3 years because what I did is I got involved with the guys out here, the boys out here, and I started my crime career out here with these guys doing little armed robberies, and these guys out here, they're a joke. I mean, they're like, they call them the Mickey Mouse Club because, I was putting down ideas. If you put coke in me, I come up with these genius ideas.
Oh, yeah.
That could put you away for the rest of your life. Yeah, right.
Yeah, right. So
that shortcoming.
So I did some things with guys out here, and more God shots where, besides that thing that happened on the freeway, that was a miracle. That was God. And then one night we were supposed to kill somebody, and we went to this nightclub to kill him. And he was a connected guy with the Genovese family. And thank God, when we went to the door of the nightclub, we went to open the door, they had closed early that night. And the next day when we sobered up, we figured out, hey, it's not worth it, See,
Right.
that's what booze would do to me.
Wow.
Now, if you put booze in me and coke in me, I could kill you. And then tomorrow I'd be crying my eyes out, remorseful. And thank the Lord that I never followed. I mean, I've done some crazy shit and some bad stuff, but I never, I don't have that on my conscience. I mean, not today anyway, So what happened was my daughter was born in 1988, and I love that little baby. I mean, she was so beautiful, and I became a doting father, changing diapers. I used to carry guns on me in a shoulder holster, and here I am. I'm changing diapers.
Right.
I'm feeding her. I'm bathing her. I was such a dedicated dad to her, and but you see, I hadn't treated my alcoholism. See, my sponsor. By the way, my sponsor was an ex-mob guy, and who I found out actually was a rat. He ratted out the guys in his family, and he was out here on the witness protection program. I didn't even know it.
Nice.
But how water seeks its own level. So yes. Amazing. It's amazing how I found him to be a sponsor.
That's right? True.
So what happened was the baby was like 10 months old, and my ex-wife, she had to go out to work, and I'm watching television, and she's in one of them little swinging cribs.
Right.
And I'm watching television, and I'm thinking, wow, the fuck is this going? What's going on here? I said, what is this? My ex-wife and I, we weren't getting along. What am I fucking? I'm here watching TV. I fall asleep. I can't even watch the full movie. That's what was before DVRs.
Right.
And I'm thinking, is this it? I mean, I love this baby, but I mean, I'm not getting any action anymore. I'm not doing anything. And I'm thinking, this is what I've resolved myself to. And I said, you know what? You deserve a drink.
There you go.
You need a drink. You've been a really good person. You're a good daddy. You're not a criminal anymore. You know what? Get in your car. Go to the liquor store, buy a couple of them Manhattan. I used to drink these Manhattans in the cans.
Oh, wow.
Those motherfuckers. You take three of those, and you're in. I used to drink 4 or 5 at a time. So wait a minute, I buy 2.
Manhattan in a can.
Oh, they are fucking. Can I tell you something? Yeah, you know who makes them? They make all those canned drinks.
Hiram Walker or somebody like that.
So anyway, check this out.
Okay.
So I get in my car, and then I drive home, and I said, I'm going to have these 2. She'll never know the difference.
Of course not.
Listen to this. She came walking in the door. Now, the door from where I'm sitting is about 25 feet.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
She looks at me, and she just looks, and she says, oh, my God. She says, you've been drinking. And I'm saying, how the fuck did she know that? Imagine that.
Right.
And
shock.
She says, oh, you drink it, and she's getting mad. Now, I get up. I felt like a rat cornered in a I get up to go towards her, and she got scared. She ran out the door. She left me with the baby for 2 days. The baby was taken care of.
Right.
The baby was fed. The baby was changed. I was in a blackout, but those 2 drinks. Wow. Those 2 drinks led to 40 cans of Manhattans in 3 days.
Whoa.
40. And you know what I was doing? Because I didn't want you to know I was an alcoholic, I would call for the... I wouldn't go in, because I went on a run the second time and I smashed the back of my car, and I said, I can't do this, I'll get killed, so let me call the liquor stores and have them delivery.
Oh, sure, yes.
But I didn't want them to think I was an alcoholic, so I said, give me a 6-pack of Tab and give me 4 of Manhattans in the can. So at the end of the 3 days, I had a refrigerator
full of Tab.
And I was toxic.
And you were lit.
I was toxic. In fact, there was a show on television about the mob, and lo and behold, there was guys that I hung out with, and I'm watching this, and I got my daughter on my lap, and I'm going, I mean, you talk about psycho.
Right.
Look, honey, those are Daddy's friends.
Oh, nice.
Now, the kid is 11 months old, so she's she really like turns around and say, oh, yeah, Dad, are they main guys?
Nice. Nice.
But, the reality
That's
of it,
sweet.
the reality of it was that I almost died, and my ex-wife came home after 3 days, and I was laying on the bathroom floor. My head was split open on the side, and I'll never forget the words that came out of her mouth, and she said to me, I love you, but I'm leaving you. She says, I don't want to raise my daughter in an alcoholic home like you did with your mother. And I could hear bells ringing in my head, and I'll never forget those words. And what happened is she left. But before she left, I was... go ahead, you have a question?
Oh, no, finish your story.
Okay, so anyway, you ever have a profound thing happen to you? I call it God shots, but it was like, I used to think, well, I got to get sober. I'm going to get sober. It's a good thing to do. But this was more than that. It was as if God came down and put his hand on my shoulder and said, you are now going to get sober. This is not a joke anymore. This is the real thing. It was so profound that I woke my wife up because she was ready to leave. She said, I'm leaving in 3 days. And she was adamant about it because, all those years she stayed with me, but there was no kid involved. This was my baby, and she was looking out for my daughter because she didn't want to, And I said, you don't understand. I'm getting sober this time. It's really happening. And she looked at me and she says, good for you. She says, I'm proud of you, but I'm still leaving. All right. So at the end of the 3 days, she left, and I was heartbroken, more so for the baby, because I adore that baby. And I'll never forget it. I dove into the program. I called my sponsor, and I said to him, because I had threatened his life. So,
oh, good. That's always a good way to establish a relationship.
Well, no, when I did those 40 cans, I told him I was going to come over his house and kill him.
Really?
But
Seriously?
You know why?
Wow.
Because he used to have this saying, like he'd tell me something, because he was a wise guy. He'd tell me something, and then I'd do the opposite, and then when I would tell him, oh man, you were right, he used to say to me, imagine that. He had that raspy. Imagine that. And I hated that fucking. Imagine that.
That was all it took.
So when I told him, I said, Joey, I'm really fucked up. And he said, imagine that. And all of a sudden, I said, I'm coming over your house to kill you, you motherfucker.
Nice.
And you know what he did? He hung up on me. And I call him back, Joey, I'm going to kill you. Boom. So after 30 times, I'm going to get a knife. Oh, by the way, I didn't have any guns anymore.
So you had to get a knife.
I used to carry guns, but I swore when my baby was born, no more guns, no more, So I got this big butcher knife, and then I forgot that my daughter was with me, and she saved my life, because I would have made an attempt to go over there. I would have got killed probably on the way over there by getting in a car accident.
Imagine that.
I basically just fell down and started crying, and the next day I called him and I begged him. I said, I beg you, I need you, sponsor me again. He said, but this time you're going to do everything I tell you. I said, you got it, man. And that was 27 years ago.
Oh,
and
thank God.
I dove into the program. I got a sponsor. I read everything. I read the 12 and 12. I bought every book I could get my hands on that has to do with sobriety. I started to get involved in the panels. I went to a couple of panels, and there were guys there in the hospital that asked me to sponsor them. I got to tell you this. This is another God shot. This is how I got sober. The last time was, again, I was going to do it my way. Mm-hmm. So I was at a meeting, and I had drank at the meeting. No, I hadn't drank at the meeting. I told my sponsor, I said, I'm sick and tired of these meetings, and I'm going out of the meeting to go home to get dressed and get together with my friends and go out and party, and that would have been it. As I'm walking out of the meeting, this guy, big tall guy, I never saw him before in my life. I would have never used drugs with this guy. He was like a hippie looking guy, you know? And he says to me, "Are you Vince?" I go, "Yeah." He says, "Would you sponsor me?" I said, "What?" I said, "Sponsor you? What do you?" He says, "I don't know. I just like the way your style." He says, "Could you help me?" And let me tell you something. This is the real God shot, because that was the last time I even thought of drinking anymore.
Right.
And I did sponsor him. And my sponsor, who sponsored me again, I said, "Joey, I don't know what to fucking do with this guy." He said, "I'll tell you what to do. You sponsor him." Well, let me tell you something. This guy, he was working at the studios. He took 3 commitments in one day, a day. He stopped working at the studios. He started teaching the kids playing basketball at Santa Monica. This kid, and I'm saying, I'm not going to all these meetings. He's going to 3 meetings a day. So I figured I can't let him outdo me. So I started doing that. And the next thing you know, I'm going to 2 meetings a day, and I'm taking commitments, and I'm sponsoring him. And then I go to a panel. Another kid says, "Would you sponsor me?" And I'm sponsoring him. And then another kid, I'm sponsoring 6 people. And right. I'm doing the meetings. I'm doing panels. Then I became secretary of a CA meeting that was on in Santa Monica. Mm-hmm. And I am totally committed. And my life is starting to really feel good. Uh-huh. And I'm changing. I'm helping people, and people don't fear me anymore. They respect me. Mm. And you know, by trade, I'm a hairstylist. I do men's hair cutting, and I love what I do. And you know, I look at it today, and I see all these God shots where I should have been dead or in prison or back into drinking again, and it's like God saved me. So it's like today, I look at my life today, and you know, I'm doing all this podcasting. When we did this book, this girl, her name was Allison Hope Weiner, and she did this show where it's audio and video. The show was Google, YouTube, Vince Ciacci, Almost a Wise Guy, Crime. Mm-hmm. Now, if you get that up on your Safari or Google, you can hear it and see it. And then there's the book is actually called Almost a Wise Guy by Bob Puglisi. And you can get that book through in a print shop, a bookshop, Amazon, Create Space, or Barnes & Noble. You know, if you do it with Amazon, they'll send it to you. And then, of course, we've got the...
we've got a call coming in here, Vince.
Right.
Hi, welcome to Life Repair. You're on the air.
Hello, it's Tony.
Hey,
Hi,
Tony.
Tony.
Well, boy, that's a surprise. So, okay. Do you have any questions for our guest?
Who's your guest?
This would be the one and only Vince show.
Oh, Sweeney Todd?
Yeah.
Sweeney Todd the barber.
I got you, Sweeney Todd.
It's the usual suspects. Hello?
What are you talking about? What are you trying to sell? You podcast to everybody?
Yeah.
I just plugged it, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, don't show any mercy. You know, I mean, because he's been talking. He's having a lot of fun. He's shared a lot of interesting stories, and now he's gotten to the part where he's actually become a real human being, and he's helping people and spreading the love and the word, which is fantastic.
Oh,
it's a miracle.
Podcasts are wonderful.
Yes, they are.
They are fascinating.
Do you have any questions that you might want to shoot at our illustrious guest?
Yeah, okay. Where's Jimmy Hoffa buried?
He's in your backyard. I love you, Tone.
I love you too, Vince.
Megan's here with us as well.
You're doing this, and it's wonderful that you got these podcasts coming.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's a source
Hi,
of
Tony.
entertainment. Megan's here as well.
Oh, hi, Megan. How are you?
Hi,
Megan?
Tony. We're good.
So
We're all here.
is there anything other than the fact that you want to know where Hoff is buried? Do you got anything else you want to shout at him?
Look, Vince, I love Vince. He's a great guy. We know each other in sobriety. Shared a lot of stuff together. Helped the other one through and walked through some fears and stuff like that. And it's always been a real comfort to know that, you know, he's there to do that with. And, you know, he's a lot of fun. Vince is a lot of laughs. A lot of laughs.
Well, I'm funny, like funny how?
Well, you amuse me.
I amuse you. I'm here to fucking amuse you.
Wow, we're all on the bullet train to hell right now.
But make sure you don't tell any of your jokes that need visual aid. You're on the radio.
It's true.
Oh man, it's funny. When I met you, man, we both were going through some shit, and we really were there.
True.
We were really there for each other, you know. And I want you to know I love you, man.
I love you too, Vince.
Well, Tony, thank you very much for calling in, man. It's always good to hear your voice. You got something
My
else?
pleasure. My pleasure. Oh, Vince, I wanted to tell you tomorrow morning I'm going to be on KCLA.
Oh, really?
On Channel 5. Sometime after 8:45.
Channel 5?
Channel 5, yeah, because the new season of Major Crimes premieres tomorrow night.
Okay.
Oh, that's right.
So this is a talk show, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes,
so it's Channel 5 at 9 o'clock. Okay, so I'm gonna listen to
exciting.
listen to the talk show.
Okay.
Okay, buddy,
Congrats.
I love you. Take care.
All
See
right,
you.
guys, everybody, have a wonderful weekend, what's left of it, and I will talk to you all soon.
Thanks,
All right,
Tony.
Tony. Thanks a lot, Tony.
You got it. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. I gotta go ahead, Megan.
How did you get out? Like, clean break from that whole lifestyle?
Like I said, I wasn't a maid guy, so I was an associate. But like when I came out here, I was with them out here too. I was doing mostly drug stuff. I was involved with cocaine dealing. I had a customer that was from Miami, and when he came for a haircut the first time, he came with these two big guys. I knew the guy was connected somehow or another. He was one of these Cuban drug dealers. And he said, "Do you like cocaine?" I said, "There's a bear shit in the woods." And,
Well, there's that.
and he gives me this baseball tinfoil.
Rock. Oh.
It's a rock of cocaine. That's like
What you need.
so. What I did is I filed it down. I made about 12 or 6 hits on it, you know, and that was my tip.
What is that?
And when he came back the next time, he asked me if I wanted to do business with him. He had checked me out, and I started dealing coke. I was like a broker. I put the Italians together with the Cubans, and we did a lot of cocaine that way. As far as getting out, I just, in fact, I
It's just
actually.
really just getting sober, pretty
In
much.
fact,
did it, huh?
actually, I was scared to tell the guys that I was going to get sober and stop all the bullshit. And they actually congratulated me because, like I said, I wasn't made. I was just, you know, an associate. And especially the Cuban guy, I thought he was going to not let me go because, you know, and he congratulated me. So you see, it's always like
Wow.
a lot of times people are proud when you're going to do something to change your lifestyle.
That's true. We've got another call coming in. You're on the air. Welcome to Life Repair.
Hey, it's Gary Bryan. How you doing?
Hi, Gary. How are you, man? Welcome to the show.
Good. Yeah, thanks. I'm streaming you at the house, so I'm probably a few minutes behind your live thing here.
Okay. Well, here we are. So, you got any questions for our guest?
I got for Vince. Hey, Vince, you're doing a great job. I haven't heard any of these stories. Just kidding. You got to remember, man, give the website for the podcast. It's mobshotpodcast.com. Come on, dude. I got to train you on how to do media.
No, what are you talking about? I was going to do that at the end of the show. In fact, I've got all the stuff in front of me that I want to put out there.
Well, go ahead and do it.
You know what?
Go ahead, Gary.
You know what?
what?
You got to be like a politician. You got to do it every time you open your mouth. You just say it.
You want to know something? Nobody has a better voice than you on the radio. You do it right now.
Ladies and gentlemen, mobshotpodcast.com. It's hours of entertainment, and it's compelling stories. You know, for Vince, my question for you is that do you ever feel like you're kind of exposing some things that you don't want to expose when you're doing these podcasts and you're telling these stories?
No, because number one, the statute of limitation has run out on everything I did. Number two, I'm not mentioning any guys that, number one, are still alive, or I'm not saying anything that can incriminate anybody. So, what I do feel is remorse. I feel remorse of some of the things that I've seen and I've experienced, but I look at it this way, Gary. God forgave me, and I've tried to redeem myself in 27 years, so I'm trying to set the record straight. But I'm not worried. I'm not worried about anything that's incriminating, because I'm not mentioning anything that is going to incriminate anybody or myself at the moment.
So, when you talk about recovery, you're talking about hitting bottom. Most people don't go as far down as you did.
Right.
Because you did a lot of stuff. I mean, you had a lot of things to feel remorseful about.
Right.
And the interesting thing is that you always had a conscience about it. But what would you say to somebody who's listening right now who maybe is, they're struggling? They feel like they can't get started in their recovery. For you came from a long way down, probably further down than most people go. What would you say to them?
Well, you see, the first thing is you have to want to change. You have to say, I can't do this anymore. You can't turn to the left. You can't turn to the right. You can't turn backwards. It's like there's no options anymore. You've burnt yourself out. And you have to say, I can't do this anymore. I don't want to do this anymore. I have to seek some kind of help. I have to find out if there's something or someone that can show me how to go about getting sober. Until you open that door. See, this is a 12-step program that I belong to. The 12 steps is actually what made me into a human being, because each step is a guide to show you how to live your life. It explains how you can get rid of your character defects that have stopped you from getting sober and getting into doing a good life. It shows you how to get a good self-esteem. It's by the time you do the 12th step, you're able to actually help other people on the road of recovery. But the first step is where you have to admit that you're powerless over drugs and alcohol. You cannot do it. You're powerless over people, places, things. You cannot do it anymore. And it's time to change. And that's the whole thing. You have to surrender. That's the whole thing. As long as you think that you got a drink left in you, you're gonna. God could come down from the heavens, and you're not gonna change. It's got to be where I've had it. I can't do it. My hands are up. The white flag is up. That's it.
You're done.
I'm done.
Yeah. Well, Gary, thanks for calling in. We're running a little skinny on time, and I'm glad that you called in.
Well, by the way, before I get out, I just want to say that Tony Dennison was shameless with that plug.
Oh, absolutely. That's why we love him, man.
If you listen to me tomorrow morning between 5 and 10 on KRS 101, we're going to talk about that.
Fantastic. Okay, cool.
Love you, Vince.
I love you too, Gary.
Job,
thanks for calling.
Thanks a lot, Gary.
Bye.
Bye.
Wow, well, that was fun. Well, Vince, thank you very much. I really appreciate you taking the time to come up here and spend some time with us. Do you want to go ahead and give the information to our listeners of what you...
Before I give the information, I do want to say that I hope that me doing this show, if somebody has heard this show and their life is a mess, they can turn around and say, hey, if this guy, after all he went through in his life and he got sober, maybe there's a shot for me. And if that one person could say that, I feel very gratified, and I feel I've accomplished something. As far as the Mob Shot thing, it's www.mobshotpodcast.com, and we're up to podcast number 9. That will really tell you the whole skinny on the story, and I hope you listen to it, and I feel great that I came on this show today with my friends, and we have a nice little clique of people.
Yes, we do.
All right,
very
thanks
fortunate.
again, Rick.
Very
Sure,
fortunate.
Megan, thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you, Rick.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. We're at the end of this week's show, but make sure to tune in next week. I would like to thank Vince again for sharing a story with us, and Megan for stopping in and helping us with the show. And again, you can hear the full version of Vince's story at www.mobshotpodcast.com. I am your host, Rick Thompson, and filling in for Allison, my co-anchor, Megan Hughes. Our mission is to provide a safe platform for those who are suffering from various forms of addiction. We are not professionals in the recovery business, just people willing to listen and offer suggestions to those in crisis. And in the words of the late, great John Flynn,
Disappointment. Disappointment is the caboose on the choo-choo train of expectation. Anything you want from anybody, you give them what you want from them. It's the only way you're going to get it. Life is about giving, not getting. Day at a time.
Thank you, John, and thank you for listening. Good night and good luck.